Hey there, it's Sara, and I'm coming at you with a shorty episode. And today I'm talking all about how 30 days of being alcohol free can change everything. I know it can feel overwhelming to take the leap into an alcohol free life, but what if you started with 30 days? That's exactly what I did 6 years ago when I started my alcohol free journey. I told myself I'll quit drinking for 30 days just to see if I like my alcohol free life. And spoiler alert, I loved it. I ended up loving my hangover free mornings. I loved the energy I had back in my life, and I got to ditch the guilt that I felt over my drinking. My anxiety levels improved. And beyond those changes, there were also physical changes that were amazing. My eyes brightened. I lost belly bloat. I lost inflammation in my face. I felt like a brand new person. And all I did was quit drinking. And I say that like all I did was quit drinking. And I'm like, I know that it's a lot harder than that, but I felt so amazing and so changed that in the early days, it was actually easy to keep going with that motivation that I felt underneath me. And that's what so many people find when they do a 30-day alcohol-free challenge. Now, before we dive into all the ways that your life may change by just taking a 30-day break from alcohol, I want to remind you that enrollment is open to Fresh and Reboot Dry July Experience. It starts on July 1st, 2025, and you can enroll right now by checking the link in the show notes of this episode. This is a 30-day guided experience. It all happens online, and during those 30 days, you get daily motivation from me through daily emails and videos. There's private community support where you're going through those daily videos with all the other members of the Dry July experience. And I set you up with tools like a workbook and a journal that will help you change your mindset around alcohol. And we'll even have 2 live group coaching calls during the 30 days, so you never feel alone on this challenge. I truly believe that community is key, and that's what this online challenge offers. So if you happen to be listening to this in real time, enrollment is closing soon. The doors to this challenge will close on midnight on July 1st, so be sure to check out the link in the show notes and get yourself enrolled today. So let's get back to all the amazing things that can happen when you quit drinking for just 30 days. All right, let's dive back into what can happen when you quit drinking for just 30 days. But before we dive into the benefits you may experience, I want to talk about the mindset block that you may be experiencing right now. Oftentimes, we don't want to dive into an alcohol-free journey because that idea of forever feels so overwhelming. I remember when I was starting this, I kept thinking, if I start this, does it mean that I'm never drinking again? If I take a 30-day break, does that mean no more alcohol? One of the reasons I was so afraid to do something like Alcoholics Anonymous is because I thought, if I do that, I'm admitting to the world that I have a drinking problem, which I did have a drinking problem, but at the time I really didn't want to admit it. I was definitely in a denial phase, but I kept thinking I'll have to admit to the world that I have a drinking problem. And once I do that, that means no more alcohol for me. And I didn't know if I wanted to do that. Like, I was very comfortable in my drinking life, even though it was no longer serving me. It was causing hangovers that wasted my whole days. It was causing me to have lots of anxiety. It really was what I knew. And our brain likes to stay in where it is comfortable, in what it knows. So when we are stuck in this cycle of like, should I quit drinking? But if I quit drinking, does it mean I have to do it forever? It can feel really overwhelming. And honestly, you can feel paralyzed. I feel like I was stuck in that zone for a year or 2 years of being like, oh, I should take a break. Well, if I take a break, does that mean I really need to quit forever? It was just honestly harder than the actual break. So if I'm talking to you right now, you're going, oh my gosh, I feel everything you're saying. Please do not be afraid to do something like take a 30-day break from alcohol. One thing I always tell people is you're allowed to take a break from alcohol, and then you can decide if you're going back to drinking after that or not. That's what I had to do for myself. I had to tell myself, this is a pause. This is a reset. This is a chance to see how good I can feel without alcohol. And that's exactly what you can do too. So if you are stuck in that mindset right now where you're going, I don't know if I want to quit drinking forever, don't worry, you're not alone. A lot of people have been there, and it's a totally normal place place to be. And I just want to tell you, you don't have to make the choice to quit drinking forever. You're your own being, right? You can make that choice for yourself when the time is right. But here's the really cool part. Sometimes those 30 days can be the catalyst that changes everything. That's what happened for me. After those 30 days, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to keep going because I learned so much during those 30 days. I took it upon myself to gather as much knowledge as I could about what drinking actually does to our body and our emotional health and our physical well-being. I was like, I'm going to learn as much as I can because I knew that knowledge could be power for myself. I also told myself I'm going to keep track of all the amazing things that happened during these 30 days, all of the things that happened because I choose not to drink. And by keeping note of those things, it made me go, oh my gosh, I'm gaining so much more than I'm losing. And that was something I had never done before when I had taken a break from alcohol. And all the other times I had taken a break from alcohol, I said I was going to do a certain amount of days, and a lot of times I wouldn't make it. Or I'd get through like a 21-day reset and I'd just be thinking about alcohol the whole time and thinking, oh my gosh, when I'm done with this, I can drink again. And I wasn't trying to shift my mindset or learn anything. So when it was done, I just went right back to my old drinking patterns. But this time, when I took a break from alcohol, I did it differently. I worked on changing my mindset, and I did it in a way that didn't feel overwhelming, and I worked on gathering that knowledge. So I have 5 main points today where I'm going to share how 30 days can feel a lot less overwhelming. Number 1 is you can do anything for 30 days. I tell myself this about so many things that I do. I do challenges with myself in my business where I'm like, I'm going to challenge myself to post a reel every single day. And I'm just going to see, does this change my business at all? Or I'm going to challenge myself to write an email every single day. I will do these little mini challenges because I want to see, does this have a positive impact in any way on my business? Or maybe I'll say, hey, I'm going to challenge myself for 30 days to get in 10,000 steps a day. And I'm going to see, does that have any benefit on my body, my mental health, my emotional health? Then I can gather that knowledge. That's exactly what this is. But when I look at it as 30 days, I tell myself it's just 30 days. I can do anything for 30 days. And I have repeated these kind of things all the time. It's not a lifelong decision. Just think about it. People do 30-day fitness programs or Whole30 or a meditation challenge. Quitting drinking for 30 days is just like that. And knowing there's a finish line actually makes it feel more doable. I will tell you that a lot of the things that I've done a 30-day challenge with have become things that I've kept more consistent in my life, or like ditching alcohol became the new norm. All right, my number 2 main point for you is remember that this is an experiment, not a life sentence. Annie Grace coined the 30-day experiment when it came to quitting drinking. She said, you can look at this as just kind of like a way to collect data. And I think that that is so helpful. This way of looking at it takes the pressure off, takes the idea off that you have to admit that you have a drinking problem during this time, or you have to change everything during this time. Instead, you're collecting data on how alcohol is really affecting your mood, sleep, energy, relationships, and mindset. And at the end, you get to choose what happens next. Having that experiment idea of it really helped me reframe this whole idea. So if you are feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling that, oh, I don't know if I want to do this. It's 30 days. Number 1, you can do anything for 30 days. And number 2, it's an experiment. Why not try it out? My 3rd point for you is you're going to feel wins quickly. That's what I love about ditching alcohol. The wins happen so quickly. Of course, the first few days to even the first week can be really challenging, right? We're changing a major habit in our life. So I'm not saying like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so easy because you're going to feel the wins fast. But when you get through that first week, you really do start to see benefits right away. Honestly, for me, I started sleeping better within the first few days. I started experiencing more energy because I wasn't having hangovers in those first few days. But a lot of people say, even in those first couple of weeks, they start sleeping better. They have more energy. I have so many people in my 30-day alcohol-free challenge that will say, my anxiety has gotten so much better in those first 30 days. So you start noticing these big changes, these big wins very quickly. And that really helps you to keep going. It really is not a delayed payoff. And even a short break has immediate benefits. Before we dive into points number 4 and 5, I just want to remind you that you can get into the Dry July experience right now. If I'm talking about all these benefits and you're going, okay, I'm ready, I've been really nervous to do this, but I'm going to hop in, then check out the link in the show notes of this episode so you can get signed up. Remember, you can go sign up while you're listening to this episode. I know sometimes it's a little hard to find the show notes from the podcast app, so take the time as you're listening. I'll be in your ear as you're going. Get yourself signed up, get all set up so you're ready to go with us on July 1st. Dry July is a really cool time to do this because even though it's the summertime and some people may think, oh my gosh, this is such a hard time to quit drinking, there's actually a lot of people that do a Dry July challenge. So why not do it with the support from other people? And then when your friends are asking about it, you can be like, oh, I'm doing Dry July. And they'll be like, oh my gosh, I've heard about that. That's really cool. So if you're feeling ready, head to the link in the show notes and get yourself signed up today. All right, point number 4. What if these 30 days become a turning point for you? When I was drinking, I felt very stuck. Things felt very blah in my life. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. I didn't know what it was. I had a perfect life from the outside. I had healthy kids that I got to school every day on time and to all their extracurricular activities on time. I had a good job. I did a good job at my job, and I had a great relationship with my husband. We lived in a beautiful house in the suburbs on a cul-de-sac. It was a picture-perfect life. But for whatever reason, I felt very stagnant in that life. I felt very like I'm kind of stuck. And I had these big goals for myself. And I thought, can I actually hit these? Can I do these things? And a lot of the block was alcohol. It was standing in my way, and people couldn't see it from the outside because they didn't know that I had terrible hangovers because I was hiding them. People didn't know that I drank so much on the weekends that I was having blackouts. I kept my drinking in my house a lot of the time, so people didn't really understand the extent of it. But it was holding me back. And I kept wondering, what if I do make a change and it is the thing that catapults me forward? And I have to say that is exactly what happened. I quit drinking for 30 days and all of a sudden I started feeling like, oh my gosh, if I can do this, anything is possible. I was rebuilding self-trust. I was changing my relationship with alcohol long term. I finally started looking at it as a thing where I could take it or leave it. Now, I say that I'm never going to take it, just so you guys know. But my mindset started to change. Like people would say, do you actually want to drink anymore? And I was like, no, because suddenly I could see what life without alcohol was. And it was way better than life with alcohol. And that excited me. That made me feel like, oh my gosh, I've unlocked the secret. And I really do feel like you're unlocking this hack, this life hack. We're all trying to figure out, how can we make life easier? How can we make life less stressful? This is one of the ways. And if you don't believe me, then why not try it for 30 days and just see, be like, did my life get easier? This all happened for me because I decided to do those first 30 days. Now, building on idea number 4, we have idea number 5. You have nothing to lose and so much to gain. What are you going to lose by quitting drinking for 30 days? For me, I lost hangovers. I lost blackouts. I lost feeling guilty about how much I was drinking. I gained energy. I gained feeling more confident. I gained feeling excited about life again. I gained feeling excited about my job again. I gained so much. So the worst case scenario is you quit drinking for 30 days and you learn something about yourself and you're like, okay, I gathered some data about myself. The best case scenario is it changes everything. And I know you're thinking that's a really big promise there, but I have helped so many people quit drinking. Over 1,000 people have done my 30-day alcohol-free challenge, and they report, this changed my life. That's how I felt when I did it. When I started with 30 days, I was like, oh my gosh, I have changed my life. And so when I say I've done it with other people, it's not a lie. I know it sounds huge, right? You change your life by doing one thing. Yes. And that's the secret. I only had to ditch one thing and I gained so much. And I never would have seen it if I wouldn't have taken that first 30-day break. So I know it can feel really overwhelming, but you really do have nothing to lose and so much to gain. So if you're listening to this and you're wondering, should I do this? Should I take a break for 30 days or can I do this? Let this be your sign. It's only 30 days. You're not locking yourself into anything forever. But I'll tell you this, 30 days can change way more than you think. With all that being said, I want to remind you that enrollment is open right now to the Refresh and Reboot Dry July experience. We start on July 1st. Enrollment closes on midnight, July 1st. So if you happen to be listening to this in real time, head to the link in the show notes and sign yourself up today so you can get started. All right, I hope this episode has left you feeling motivated to take a break from alcohol for just 30 days to see what can happen. And if you know somebody who might need to hear this episode as well, share it with them. You could even say, hey, I think I'm going to do this. Want to do it with me? There's always more power in numbers, and it could be such a cool experience for you and your friend or family member that you choose to share this with. All right. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, be sure to rate and review this podcast, and I'll be in your ear in the next episode.